talk to me a little bit about your recent, or maybe not recent, but the focus of your work. Why are we here talking about grief? Um, what's made this your topic of interest lately?
My first senior sex books grew out of my wonderful love affair with Robert, my great love, whom I met when I was 57 and he was 64. Well, I lost him to cancer in 2008.
Mm,
I kept writing, but there was something unfinished.
mm,
And part of it was that after Robert died, I was in deep, profound grief, and I wasn't able to date, or even I wasn't able to successfully date. I could try to date, but
yeah.
it didn't work for years, for years. And
Uh,
over that time, I talked to grief counselors. I had several grief counselors at various periods. I tried all sorts of things, which I talk about in the book, including an erotic massage. That was my turning point, actually.
okay.
And and then finally, just a few years ago in 2019, I decided that there needed to be a book about how we emerge sexually from grief. Because we don't get over grief. We get through
Right.
grief and
Right.
we don't
Right.
even get through it.
We
It's
live
always
with it.
there.
Right. Yeah.
We live with it. We
Yeah.
learn how to live with it. And I learned so much in my experiences. And I solicited many of my readers and said, if you have managed to come back to dating and sex and maybe even loving again, tell me your stories.
Mm,
And so Sex After Grief was born in 2019. It was relaunched last year.
okay.
It's in a new edition, really pretty and really
It's a
useful.
beautiful cover. Yes.
Yes, Sex After Grief, Navigating Your Sexuality After Losing Your Beloved.
Mm,
And it's exactly about this. And it's the only book that's exactly about this.
hmm.
You can find hundreds, thousands of grief books. Do they mention sex? Well, maybe for a paragraph,
Right. Right. Right.
mainly
Right.
as a warning. Don't get into anything right now because you're too unstable. And yet, my experience and experiences of my fellow grievers showed me that, first of all, there's no one way to do grief. There's no, here are the steps, and you have to go through it. That's not actually valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're ready to come back to wanting a human connection, a sexual connection, arousal with someone else's touch other than your own, when you start being ready for that, that timeline is absolutely unique.
Mm,
I mean, I heard from someone who was ready the day after the funeral.
yeah.
At the funeral, he was already looking around because because he had been in such stress while his husband was sick
Mm,
and dying that he needed to relieve that stress. And in his world, that meant sex. Well, that's perfectly valid. There
right.
were other people who, a dozen years later, are saying, I don't know if I'll ever be ready again. But in between, there are all sorts of it might be months, it might be years, it might be a decade.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show realistically, but also welcomingly, warmly, invitingly, how people experience this and solicit some comments from experts who could help guide us along. I have excerpts from my own journal. I kept two, a memory journal and a reality missing Robert, how bad is it now journal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I learned lots of techniques. I learned tips from also from the grief counselors who were very open with helping me by contributing some thoughts. And I'm so proud of this book. Is it a sad book? Well, yeah, in places. Is it hopeful? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So separate from the grieving process, which, like you said, there are a lot of grief therapists and a lot of grief books. When you do find yourself, I mean, I guess I can only ask about your own experience and the stories people shared with you. when you start to feel like you are ready for that connection, what's in the way? Like what's
Mm.
happened to your connection with your sexuality that you might have to work through or overcome? Or how would you describe whatever difficulty there is?
So many directions I could go with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, feel free
Um,
at any
s-
direction there.
I'll keep talking till you stop me then. One thing is that we have internalized that that we are betraying our partner
Mm.
if we get involved with someone else. And I can talk to that later if you want. I'm just going to
Okay.
give kind of a list
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you can ask me for more. There's also the stigma and the shame that other people bring to it. They think they're giving you advice in your best interest, but they're almost never because they don't know who, they're not you. You are
Yeah,
the one who knows. They'll say, aren't you dating by now? You've been, come on, you're stuck.
right.
Or they might say, oh, you're dating too soon. Or they might say, really? Dad's just been in the ground for a year
Yeah,
and so other people judge us. There's also the problem that maybe you don't want a whole love relationship again, a committed relationship again. Maybe you wish you could just start with just sex, just a
yeah,
friend with benefits, maybe just a wild hookup. Maybe you've never even had wild hookups because you've been married 45 years. We, depending on what you're bringing to it and your own attitudes about sex, your own needs, your body's needs, your emotional needs, you may want something you've never done before. And then it's hard to find
yeah,
because let's say you think, well, really, what I just want is someone who can make me feel sexual again. And how do you find that? What do you
yeah.
do? How do you communicate to a potential partner what you need and what you don't need? And ooh, I've got into a lot on that one.
Yeah, yeah. And in my own head, I'm thinking if you're together 45 years, whatever, a long time, you knew how to have sex with that person and you didn't probably have to
Ah,
talk that much. And, you sort of eased into whatever age you're at this point. And now you're talking about starting over with somebody new in a new
I
phase of life with your body different. And
yes.
that could be overwhelming, seems
And
to
you
me.
may have challenges that would not let you just say yes to everything.
Right.
Maybe you would prefer sex play that is not intercourse, that is not PIV.
Hmm.
Or maybe maybe let's say you have trouble with erections and you know, how do I please a new woman? I knew uh, how to please my wife, but a new woman. Or how do you talk about these things with someone new?
Right. Right.
And
Yeah, that
what if
seems
you
really
change your mind?
really daunting. Yeah, right. You get partway in, and it's like, never mind, I wasn't ready. Yeah.
But I do have advice for that part
Okay. Okay.
to decide ahead of time that it's not going to be all or nothing. It's
Mm,
not going to be if I start taking off my clothes with this person, we have to do it all. And to communicate with the person, I feel fragile.
mm,
I am newly widowed. I have not been with anyone since my spouse, my partner, and I want to go slowly. I want to take it step by step. Just maybe kiss and see if there's chemistry. Just
hmm.
maybe a little touching, but we don't get naked yet this time.
Yeah.
And then next time maybe if all goes well. So you need a very special kind of sensitive person.
Hmm.
You want someone who's going to say, well, of course I can do that.
Right.
And if and you might think, or talking now to the listeners, you might think, well, oh, who's going to agree to that? If someone doesn't agree to that, there's your screening process.
Exactly. They are
You don't
not
want to
the right
find out
person.
about
Yeah.
that later when you say
Right.
stop and he says, oh, come on.
Right. So, what is some of the worst advice out there, or like probably well intentioned, but some of the misconceptions or the advice that you got or that you know of that really isn't helpful?
Any of the shoulds.
Mm,
You should be dating, you shouldn't be dating. You should never have more than one partner at a time. You are betraying. your spouse. You're betraying our family. You are, we're worried about you. You're a hermit. I mean, any of these, but one of the worst pieces of advice is that 1 year rule, the
Oh,
one
yeah,
year
yeah, yeah.
rule that,
Somehow magically you're ready at a year and not before a
well,
year, right?
it's the 1 year rule that applies to everything, not just sex.
Okay.
Don't do, don't make any big decisions for a year because
Okay.
you have grief brain. Now I know grief brain very well, and it's true. It does disturb your thinking. You're not whatever normal used to be. But that doesn't mean that you can't evaluate whether you need human touch,
Mm,
whether you need the closeness, smelling someone's skin, hearing another voice in the bed with you other than your fantasy and your memory. I would agree that 1 year might be a good idea for not mixing finances, for not moving in together, for not selling your house, all
right,
these
right.
things. But just to let your sexuality emerge, this is human.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
That's not some
resilience.
big decision like, for joining your finances, right? That's
This is
just, yeah,
made where our bodies are made to want this.
yeah,
And hallelujah that that can happen.
yeah.
That no matter how much we miss our dear partner, we still are capable of that.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that myself in a dream. Was this is in the book too.
Mm,
I was not sexual at all at this point, except with myself. Well, not even much with myself, because my body felt numb
yeah.
and my brain felt numb, and it just was just crying all the time. And I thought I might never have sex again. I'm a sex educator, I'm a sex writer. I speak about sex and what's the matter with me, but this is where I am. And then I had a dream. And in this dream, I was standing and walking beside a man that I didn't know in real life. And he was slightly behind me with his one arm around me. And I could feel his erection through our clothes. And I woke up and I was aroused.
And this was
Finally.
okay. Yeah. This is like the wake up call,
Ah,
literally, right? Yeah.
and so I remember sitting up in bed and yelling out, I'm aroused. And it felt like my life force returning.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm imagining it's not just a straight line. Like from that moment, everything's easy and fine, and you just start
Oh,
having sex again. I mean,
oh, heck
not
no.
having been through this, it does seem like, oh, you got to enter that sexual space, and you might run right into the grief again, missing your partner, missing
Every
those
minute,
moments, missing, yeah.
every minute. I tried going out with, I tried online dating, which eventually worked for me, but not at first.
Hmm.
I tried going to bed with old lovers, which didn't work the first time, did work for a future person. We try these things. They may not
Right,
work at this moment,
right,
but maybe they
right.
might later. But I know that in the online dating, because I live in a rural area, it's a half hour from a small city and it's an hour and a half from a big city. And so I don't just meet people walking down the street or in the library or the
Right.
coffee house the way we used to.
Yeah.
So it had to take some effort. And I, so I tried online dating and I had some dates, but I didn't ever feel drawn to them. And I felt they could never really understand where I was. And not that it's all about me, you've got to understand me. That's what's important here. But if there's this barrier with, I don't want to really explain what grief is, but do I
Hmm.
have to? Or how do I do this? And I actually had an online date with our first date. And he said, you're not ready to date yet.
Mm.
And I was furious. I didn't let him know I was furious. I just thought, well, this is our last date. Let's go home. But I felt, who are you to tell me that?
Yeah.
Screening test. Everything's a screening test. There are
Yeah.
wrong people for us.
Right.
But then I thought maybe I should say in my profile that I only wanted to date widowers.
I
Maybe
was
that
gonna,
would solve it.
yeah, I was wondering, is it more helpful to date other people who know that grief and that you don't have to explain it, even though everybody's journey through it is unique?
I was sure it would be, and I
Ah,
started dating some people who were widowed. The problem is that was all we had in common, I discovered.
ah,
So if we have no particular interests, no particular chemistry, we're just both widowed. Well, that's actually helpful because we can talk about this.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember doing that. I remember thinking, okay, I'm not really attracted to this person, but I want to know his story.
yeah.
So I said, can
That's a
we?
different right. That's a different role in your life that has value, right? But maybe not
Yeah,
lover.
absolutely has value, but it's not going to get me
Yeah,
into bed.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then I thought, okay, that's not working. So I adjusted the profile to say bonus points if you are widowed.
Okay.
So I continued to try things, and eventually there were things along the way we could talk about. But eventually I did meet the person that I'm still with 8.5 years later. He's a widower. He recently, before posting on OkCupid, had lost his wife, but he had been mourning really for years through her
Hmm.
long illness.
Right.
And she had told him, and this is so important, she had told him, don't be a hermit.
Yeah.
She had given him permission. And that is so important. My dear Robert did that for me too, in a different way. He said, you have so much love still in you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that helps overcome the sense that you're betraying a dead partner, right? Like
It
it's
is
yeah.
so essential. And I want to say to people who are listening who have not yet experienced this, who have not yet lost, when I say yet, I mean one of
And
you
we
will
all
lose
do
the other.
eventually. Yeah.
Uh, but if you are still with your person, have the conversation.
Mm.
If I were to die before you, what would you want to say to me about what you want for me going forward
Yeah. Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
relationship, in sex, in dating? Or if you are incapacitated in one way or another and we can't be sexual partners anymore, what would you want from me?
Mm.
And then you exchange that. And what I hope would happen is that you will each give each other the blessing to find love again, to find a sexual connection again, to be whole again.
Yeah.
And the people who have done that just make an, I mean, you don't have to worry about the betrayal thing. You can just say, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm allowed to do this. I'll take my time, but thank you for permission.
Yeah.
Thank you for understanding. The people who never had that conversation, they're a mess.
Yeah.
They have so much trouble overcoming that stigma and that fear and that sense of betrayal.
So are there common themes? I mean, obviously you heard from a lot of people and have a lot of different stories, but like how does somebody move back into sex and their sexuality once they're ready and they recognize that? Are there some themes or some general recommendations you have?
You won't know if you're ready until
Okay.
you, I mean, you may know you're not ready. That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay.
But then you get to a point where you think, well, I wonder, I think I might be ready, but what if I'm not? Well, confide that in a partner that you're thinking of going to bed with.
Hmm.
I hope I'm ready. I really want this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can do it. I might start to cry. I might have to say no. And make sure that the person you're with is that trustworthy. Whether it's someone you've known a long time, which is often a good way to go, or even if it's someone you just met, you feel a connection with, you've got to have that still. You've got to have that capsule of understanding and respect
Yeah.
before you go forward. So I suggest if that's your situation, you're not even sure if it's time, then try step by step. Try dating someone, try kissing, try seeing what the next step is that feels all right to you. Don't rush anything. If if it has to be rushed, it might make you feel bad and rather regret something that you Do you want to regret something you did or something you didn't do? And that's a personal choice.
Right, 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 right.
But the
Okay.
step by step is really important. That keeping communication open is really important. And I have some sample scripts in the book of ways you can talk to a new partner.
Yeah. What about advice managing some of those people, maybe well intentioned, trying to help you out, give you advice? Oh, it's too soon. Oh, it's too late. You know, like all those shoulds, all those people chiming in with their helpful advice.
Oh, let me see if I can get this right now. I have exactly what to say to these people. I have sections in my book where I actually tell you what you might say to people. For example, for someone who tells you you should be dating right now, you shouldn't be doing this. I know you're speaking to me out of care and concern, but that's not helpful.
Mm,
I'm proceeding on my own timeline. Thank you.
I like those
And
just direct and firm and kind of
yeah,
close it, shuts the conversation in a nice way.
yeah. Um, and telling people, just getting people to stop doing that is hard because they
Yeah.
really think they're, no, I really care about you and you've been moping around for a year and a half and you're stuck. I once had a friend say, and she wasn't a good friend, she was a casual friend, and I was at a dance hall that I frequented,
Right.
dancing with lots of people. And she came up to me and says, so how are you doing? And I hate that question, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't ask a griever, how are you doing? Well, how do you think they're doing? Don't ask
Yeah.
that. Just
Okay.
don't. And I'm afraid I put some people very ill at ease by telling them not to say that. But
Yeah.
she said that. And she said, I know you're not, I know you're not dating anyone. I worry that you're stuck. I hated that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, I'm proceeding on my own timeline. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice way to recognize the care and,
Yeah.
you know, that's not helpful.
I mean, it doesn't help to just yell out at them
Right.
much
Right.
as
Right.
you want to. So
Right.
have someone you can confide in that you can yell about the conversation you just had.
Good
You'll
idea
never
too.
believe what she said to me,
Right.
what I really wanted to say back, but what I said instead. How about that?
Did you find any support? You didn't mention this, but you or any of the people that shared their stories in grievers groups or support groups or other people going through it? Did you find those people were more able to, I don't know, to be supportive without judgment or timelines or no?
It was very interesting that when I was in grief support groups, sex was never mentioned. Everything else
Mm,
was mentioned.
okay.
And when I talked to some of the grievers, and this was someone that I actually met in person, he was at one of my workshops, and he said, in my support group, at one time, boy, we had 6 meetings, and none of them did they ever talk about sex.
Yeah.
So at the end of the sixth meeting, I stood up and I said, I am so horny. And he said, everyone, "Ah," but afterwards, he said, two women came up to me and
Me too.
said, me too. So
Ever-
any grief counselors or support group leaders who are watching this or listening to this, my gosh, bring it up. Come
Yeah.
on.
It
Where's,
reminds me of the show that's out or came out, Dying for Sex. Have you seen
oh,
that? Yeah. And
yes,
she's in there with late stage cancer, you know, she's going to die, and nobody's talking about sex, but she is. And finally, the
she
group all gets
is.
into, you know, I mean, it was such a service to everybody. So,
It's a marvelous series.
yeah. Yeah. It was
I
wonderful.
really recommend it. Was it on, which network was it on?
I,
HBO?
I can't remember. I
Dying
can't
for
remember.
Sex. Look
Dying
it
for
up.
Sex,
It's
but it was,
absolutely
but
fabulous.
a similar thing, right? Because there are all these support groups and all this stuff, and nobody
Yeah.
was talking about sex until she
But what I
insisted.
did find is the grief counselors were very willing to.
Okay, good.
And I had a number of grief counselors. It wasn't that I collected them, but I'd have one for a certain number of sessions through hospice, and then someone
Right.
else through my HMO. And she retired. I got someone else and saw a couple of people privately at different times over the years
Yeah.
because I thought, ah, I need help again. So I
Yeah.
would get help again. And these were such wonderful people. I really recommend that. You're tempted to white knuckle it because you think, well, I'll just get over it, or no one would understand. No, 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 you don't have to do that. If you white knuckle it, you'll just stay stuck where you are.
Yeah.
And in this case, stuck is the right word
Yeah.
if you're not getting help. But I know that my grief counselors were very open to talk about sex.
Yeah. Good.
And in fact, one of the first ones, when I was so numb that I wasn't even self-pleasuring, I told her, she was an older woman, about maybe my age, and I said, I'm feeling so numb that I'm not even trying to pleasure myself. I have drawers full of sex toys and I'm not using them, and I don't even know if anything would work. And she said, ah, Joan, if you have a sex toy, it'll work. And so I went, ah, homework. And
All
she
right.
was right.
So you also mentioned erotic massage. So I'm wondering if do you see a progression for people to start to masturbate again, to then do something like erotic massage? Like what did you said that was a turning point for you. So I'd
Oh,
love to.
it was a huge turning point because at this point, and I can't remember how far in I was, it might have been a year, it might have even been more. I took a long time to get
Right.
to where I could have partner sex, even after I was enjoying the orgasms on my own. So, the erotic massage was a birthday gift to myself because I felt I'm not ready to have reciprocal sex with anyone, if that makes
Right.
sense, because
Right.
I thought I want to feel pleasure from someone else, but I still feel too closed up to give it.
Hmm.
It sounds so selfish, but that's how it was for me.
Yeah.
And so I hired an erotic massage therapist. It was a really wonderful, regular, full body massage, but no body parts were off limits. And it was crashingly successful. And what it did is it let me just accept sexual pleasure from someone who wanted to give it.
Hmm.
Didn't matter that I was paying him for it. Why
Right.
not?
Right.
And it was just so wonderful that it made me want to actually meet people, to be able to have a connection in person and to be able to give rather than just receive.
It
With this
seems
massage, he said at the beginning, this is not reciprocal. I do not allow you to touch.
yeah.
I will touch you. And he asked for consent as he got to the more personal body parts.
Right.
Every
Right.
step of the way, may I touch this? May I touch that?
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like a real powerful way to have someone else touch you. I mean, like somebody besides your beloved. If you're going to
That's right.
introduce touch with somebody new, it's like, well, this is low stakes, it's one directional, it's no
Yes.
pressure,
Yeah.
to just allow yourself to receive that from a different body and then maybe yeah, I
Right.
could see how that could be a real turning point.
Then the absolute turning point was a friend with benefits
Mm,
sometime later, where this was when I was looking at OkCupid. OkCupid worked for me. There are different sites that'll work for different
right,
people. This
right,
one
right.
worked for me. And I was looking through the profiles of nice looking men in the right age range. And I happened across someone who had been my lover 14 years before.
Okay.
Ah, so well, I know him. Why is he here? Last I heard, he had a partner. And he explained very clearly in his profile that he was in a committed relationship, but that for reasons he had permission to go outside the relationship to have a friend with benefits.
Yeah.
He said this will not turn into a regular relationship, but we'll be friends and we'll exchange pleasure. Oh, just what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And someone I knew I could trust and that I knew the sex was good with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I contacted him Told him my situation. We'd been vaguely in touch over the years, not regularly, but once in a while. And I said, you might just want to meet someone who's brand new to you because there's that excitement, and I'd understand that. But if that's not the case, here's my situation. So we took a walk together and talked and made it very clear what we did and what we didn't want, what was and what wasn't allowed in his relationship.
Mhm.
And then we kissed to see if the chemistry was still there. And it was. So we made a date. And we continued meeting roughly weekly for might have been a year. And then finally we were both ready to go to the next step in our journeys,
Yeah.
and we parted ways, stayed friends. The friends part stayed. But he was for me what Gail Sheehy called the pilot light lover. The pilot light lover, if you think of turning on a gas stove,
Right. Right.
you have to light the pilot light before, and then you see the flame. Well,
Yeah.
the pilot light lover, as Gail Sheehy explained, I think it was in Passages, or it might have been in the Sexually Seasoned Woman, um, is the person who lights your sexual fire after a long period of dormancy.
Mhm.
And this person, she explains, is not likely to be an ongoing partner. In fact, he
Right.
might be all wrong for you, but for the moment, he is right for you.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And people that I talk to when I give my grief, sex after grief talks, they offer that, wait, pilot light lover, I never heard of that, but that's absolutely what I need right now.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So, where can people find the book? I mean, probably everywhere books are sold, but do you want to say anything about where people can reach you, your website, that kind of
Oh,
stuff?
yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. If you're in the United States, I would love for you to purchase it directly from me, and I'll
Ah,
autograph it and I'll put an inscription in that you would like. If you want to tell me what to say, I will. Otherwise, I'll do it on my own. And that's at joanprice.com. And realize that there are two editions. If you're looking at other
hmm,
booksellers online, or there's an older edition which doesn't look like this. You want the one that looks like this because, oh, and if people are just
I was
listening,
going to say, how do I describe it? It's got a pink sex. It's got a nice field of
it's
flowers.
it's a regular size paperback. The other one is a smaller one.
Okay.
It's kind of like the size of a gift book, if you
Okay.
know what that
Okay.
means. This is full size. Also, it will say, um, it will be in nice big print, not enlarged print to insult us, but bigger than the first one, which was tiny print. And it will say prize winning book on this cover. Or if you get it from me, that's the
Yeah.
one I'm selling. And
Right.
if you think, I wish my therapist had a copy of that too,
Yeah.
I have a special deal going that if you buy the new edition from me and you ask for it, you check a box. I'll also send you a copy of the older edition to give to a therapist, a show it, a giveaway to another griever, whatever you like.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And we often don't want to talk about this, and we think one of the other stigmatizing things is we think if we're interested in sex means we didn't really love our beloved, or we're done with grief. None of that is true.
Right. Right.
I added two new chapters to the new edition, and one of them is about how we can love one person and have room in our hearts to love another.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an important message.
Yeah.
Thank you.